Hi guys, Jess here from the Scrappy Sisters. So for this layout I am going to be using those two gorgeous photos of my little man Tom, and it's going to be slightly longer this video than what I would usually do because I am doing a reasonable amount of mixed media and it's a little bit challenging to cut this one down and still keep the process intact. So apologies if you are not interested in watching all the mixed media at the start. You can skip through towards the end of the video. So I haven't gessoed my page because those of you that watch this channel regularly know that I don't actually own gesso. And so that's going to cause me two problems. One, in that it means that the paper is going to have to absorb quite a lot of water and quite a lot of paint, and it's really going to take quite a bit of beating. If I did have gesso, I probably would have gessoed the page, but it does also mean the effect will be a little bit different because the paints and the water are being absorbed by the paper, whereas if you had have gessoed the paper, it sort of more sits on top, if that makes sense. So I've used the Heidi Swapp Colour Shine Citron, and I'm now just using the teal, and as you can see I sprayed that straight on and then I dipped my fingers in some water and just splotted the water on, so you can see the effect of where the large water droplets hit the colour shine. It sort of makes a little bit of a different coloured spot, I suppose you could say, but where I just flicked it, it's not as obvious where the water pooled. I would have used a spray bottle, but my spray bottle there just to the right is for some reason not working. So it was flicking with my fingers, it was. The pink colour I used is the Heidi Swapp Colour Shine Blush, and this purple one is Memory Mists in Plum Sauce. So it is a matte, the Memory Mist. It doesn't have a shine or a shimmer to it. Now I'm going in with the Heidi Swapp Colour Shine Navy. And one thing you will notice as this absorbs and as I use the serviette to soak it up a little bit, you'll notice especially how much the blue changes. It goes on really, really dark, almost looking black, but then once it sort of starts to absorb and once you pick up that excess off the surface there with the serviette, it shows you a more true to colour of how it looks when it is dry. So hopefully you're starting to see something that resembles something of interest and not just a big mess. It is a bit of a big mess. This is the Heidi Swapp Colour Shine in black. It is going to be the galaxy, and it does work out, it does come together, so hopefully you're not panicking at what you're seeing here on the page looking like a big mess. I was really, really happy with the end result, so stick around. You will see it does look really, really cool once it's all dry and I've filled in all the white gaps. There, it's already starting to look better now I've added the black. So the serviette's purpose there is to pick up some of the excess so that the water's not absorbing way, way, way more than it can handle, and it also helps it to dry quicker, and it also helps to show me a more muted colour and more what it's going to look like once it has dried and set. And yeah, so now the Heidi Swapp Colour Shine in gold, and then this is the first stage of this is pretty much done. So it's quite a warm day today, so I pop this outside to dry. And you'll see in a minute, I do leave this bit in. I'm about to pick up the page and you'll see just how wet the paper is because you'll see the mark it leaves on my desk from where it was sitting. So this is what not having gesso does, leaves all of that excess. So I've popped that outside to dry, and then I've dug into my homemade kit to pull out some bits and bobs from in there. Now, because it's got such a busy background, I know I don't want to do too much on the actual page itself because the background is sort of my feature. So I'm matting my photos using the gorgeous shiny blue that came on the card. I already used all the embellishments off this card if you watched that layout already. That layout was released in November, so you should jump over and have a look at that. But I'm now using, and that layout's called Thomas, by the way. I'm now just using the actual card itself. That's this gorgeous shiny paper. You don't even really get to see much of the cardstock once you put the photos on top, but the shiny blue just sort of peeks out from underneath the photos, which is a really cute touch. So and then I have pulled out some white tissue paper from my stash, and I'm just going to messy that up a little bit to fit behind the photos. So I could cut it to fit exactly, but I quite like the look of having some folds and some texture along with that tissue paper. So I just roughly fold it up to be approximately the correct thickness and then the correct width as well. Correct length, correct width first, and then the correct length. Silly me. And I'm going to overlap my photos in that way, so I might as well just stick those together now. So I'm just putting those straight onto the tissue paper. I'm not securing them in any special way, and I chose to put my photos in that direction to have, basically to have Thomas looking at himself. So I either could have Thomas looking at himself or looking out, and I didn't want him to be looking off each side of the page because I thought that might look a bit funny. So I decided to have him looking into the page on both sides and facing himself, if that makes sense. Now the tissue paper was a little bit flimsy, so I am just backing that with just a piece of the actual gift card where the writing was. I'm just backing that on just to give that a little bit more stability. And so the tissue paper doesn't come off or anything like that. And then I'm actually going to back it a third time. Just trimming that down, sorry. I'm going to back it a third time, and I'm going to use some of that gorgeous blue wrapping paper you can see there, that's right there on my table. And it's going to be my third layer. So lots and lots of blues happening in this backing. And this whole layout actually ends up being quite a blue layout, which I quite like because my favorite color is blue, and stereotypically it's a boys layout, so win-win for everyone. So I'm just tidying up the edges there, and then I will have a look at how that mats around my photos, because I'm thinking I will keep this one squarish. Just cutting it down because it's a bit too big. I just did a little slice so I knew where to put it into my paper cutter, my trimmer, where exactly I wanted to slice it across. So yes, I am keeping this one rectangle to be that last base piece of the photos. Gosh, I'm talking rubbish today. Sorry about that. Sometimes it just happens. You just spend so much of your time talking to a 2-year-old and a very small baby that you forget how to talk to human beings. And I think the problem with voiceovers is no one actually answers you back. So you're talking away. I'm a good talker, but talking for 30 minutes is quite a challenge, especially when I think even for new scrapbookers, it's quite obvious what's happening when it comes to matting the photos. So this is dry. It has been sitting outside. You can see it is a bit warped. I've not done anything to it to, iron it flat or anything like that. So as warped as it looks there on your screen is as warped as it was. So it wasn't too bad. Don't get me wrong, it was warped, but it wasn't too bad. So I'm now just flicking some white Kaisercraft acrylic paint that I've mixed in with water. That was both good and bad idea. It flicked a lot better, but it soaked into the paper. Funny that, because I didn't gesso it, and it went really, really hard to see. So I actually do that quite a few times, even off screen, just adding more flicks, just because I really want those white to be seen. And now obviously I'm just doing some little stars on there too, because they're cute. And so now I'm just showing you a close-up. So off screen, I did a few more splatters because I really wanted that to come up a bit stronger. I did the ones that sort of really look like paint runs, the large blobs, they're paint that hasn't been watered down, so I really couldn't get the flick happening right with that. And also you might have seen that inside the stars there was what looked like gold inside the crosses, and I'm just showing you there that was using the Wink of Stella brushes. So I've got a silver one and I've got a gold one, and I put those across all of the little white stars and the big, that's the gold one there. I'm just showing you how the color, how rich the color is. So that's how I got the star effect. Now I decided to mat this on a piece of white, really light white paper. When I say light, I mean thickness wise. Obviously white is the color, but it's a lightweight paper. Because I then just covered the whole back with just normal glue stick glue, school glue, and stuck that down to the white paper just to give it a better flatness, because it was that little bit warped by absorbing so much of the paint. I then used a Kaisercraft alphabet die, the lowercase letters alphabet die, to cut out a whole bunch of these Z's or Z's, whichever way you like to pronounce it, using glitter foam. So I buy this glitter foam by the sheet at a craft shop, like a not even a craft shop, like a cheap shop. It is about $2, $2.50 for a large sheet, like an A. It's bigger than an A3, an A2 maybe? Don't know. Yeah, maybe an A2 size sheet. Obviously you can see there I've got a navy blue, a light blue, and a silver. But I've also got a gold, a black, a rose gold, a copper, like a red. I've got a lot of different colours that I use for die cutting with. So I glued all those down just using the PVA glue you can see to the right hand side of the page. I didn't show you the process of actually gluing them down. It was pretty straightforward. And then I dug into my homemade kit for my supplies to see what I was going to use out of that kit. And I pretty much pulled out everything that was to do with sleep. So this heading here, or this words, this sweet dreams, I was gifted somewhere along the way. Don't know who by, sorry. I don't know if it was purchased or if it was homemade. It looks like it's vellum and it's got text printed on it. So it's possible that someone printed it themselves on their own printer, but it's also something you might buy. So not 100% sure. But when I saw that, I thought that would be the perfect heading and a great way to use it. And then, as I said, I just put out everything that was to do with sleep and dreams. And so that little silver in my hand was actually a brad, but I didn't know that at the time. And when I tried to pull it off the page, I broke the backing, so I broke the brad part. I am really skeptical about whether I'm going to be able to use that or the rest of the collection of those. The minute I put if you watched my making a kit video, I'm really not sure about them, but I want to give them a go. I want to try and use that. Like, I know some people are of two minds with your stash. You shouldn't have to use it up, so to speak. If you bought it, you wanted it, you loved it, there was a reason why you have it in your collection. I agree with that, but I also I personally feel an achievement when I do use things. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something, and that the purpose for buying it was meaningful, and I've put it to use in a meaningful way. Like, I'm telling the story through my photos, and these bits and bobs that I purchased have helped to tell that story, because that's why I purchased them. A lot of the things in this homemade kit that I've made are actually things that have been gifted to me, so they're not necessarily things that I purchased or necessarily things in my style, hence why I'm not so sure about that silver brad. It's not something I probably would have purchased myself, but I'm still interested to see if I can give it a go. Also, I think if I can use up a bunch of my supplies, it is an incentive to then be allowed, in inverted commas, to buy more. So that's what my brain is at with by trying to use up this homemade kit. So I'm making 3 little clusters, as you can see. There's the one in the bottom left of the photos, the one in the top right of the photos, and the one down in the bottom right corner at the end of the title. And so that's going to be my visual triangle there, and it's placed there on purpose because it's putting the triangle around the photographs. It's putting the photographs in the center of that visual triangle. Everything else on the page is just an added bonus, meaning all those Z's going around in a circle, they're just an added bonus to the beautiful background. as much as the Zeds are gorgeous, because there's so much blue happening in the page, they tend to not draw too much of your focus or too much of your attention. They add to what's happening in the layout, but then don't necessarily pull your eye away from the photo. And because they're a full circle and they go all the way around, they do, if you do follow them, you end up back at the photographs anyway. So, win-win. I decided when I saw that navy star that I really wanted to back that cluster up with that navy star, so I pulled everything off and put that star underneath there, because then I also could use that doily, that dark blue doily, in the other bottom left hand cluster as well, and that's just putting those light colours together, which I do like to do in my clusters, sort of try and feature 3 things in a similar colour, or 1 thing of a similar colour in each of the 3 points. Sorry, is what I was trying to say. So I'm getting there with how these clusters look. I'm quite happy with how these clusters are starting to look. I'm managing to use nearly all of my sleep supplies, which I'm happy about. And I'm thinking I will get that brad on down in that bottom left. I don't hate the way it looks down there, so that's a bonus. And then just as I'm tidying up and packing up, I find another one. Oh no, I thought I had them all, but no, there is another one. So then I try and work out where can I put him on the page, because I don't want to be left with just one. I could be, it would be totally fine, but I just keep thinking, no, come on, you've used all the rest. And then I realised that I have the big star behind that top cluster, I've got the little doily behind the bottom left cluster, but there's nothing as a grounding base for this cluster over to the side here. So I end up deciding I'll use that last badge, because it's fabric, that last badge as more of a grounding piece. So you won't even be able to read what it says. I'll put the brad on top of it, I'll put the arrow on top of it, but the colour will sort of poke out and be that grounding colour for that cluster. So I'm happy there. I've managed to use them all, and I can tick those off my homemade kit list. Silly, I know, but you know, that's how my brain works. I am just trying to place it. Obviously it's a circle, so it doesn't matter which way up it goes, so I am just trying to place it so you can't see words, because I don't want it to look like, oh look, there's something written there, I wonder what that says. I just want the colour to pop out. So once I have that placed in the right spot, I end up attaching the brad that I broke with some foam tape, and then just popping on that little arrow as well, again in that sort of darker blue colour, and it's deliberately pointing underneath my title so that you read my title and then look in the direction of where the photographs are, so pointing at the photographs, so saying, you know, sweet dreams over there. And then I love these tiny little word stickers, so I just want to use them. I find that they're a little bit wide. The writing is so tiny on them, but I found that the outside was quite a large surround of blue. So I just chopped them down a little bit thinner. And then I'm going to put one of those in each of the clusters, so that little light pop of blue is in each one as well. Fiddling around with it though, aren't I? I can't just put it on. I am reading through them to see if I can find ones again to do with sleep. You know, the sweet dreamy type words, you know, snug as a bug, or don't let the bed bugs bite, which actually incidentally is what the badge up in the top star cluster says, don't let the bed bugs bite, which is cute. Don't know if you guys used to say that in your family, but we did. Haven't actually started saying it to my boys yet, but we definitely used to say that. My dad used to say that to us. Did you watch our December Advent Calendar series? I know it's quite, it was over quite a bit ago now, but you know, just wondering, did you watch it? Did you enjoy it? Do you like seeing things other than our scrapbooking processes? Katie and I really look forward to making that series in December, but it really is for selfish reasons, in that we both enjoy opening our gifts and seeing the creativeness of what each other has made and keeping those secret, and just having the surprise is a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed it too. So just popping on this last tiny word sticker. This has taken me a while. And then once that's on, I am just pulling out these are not from my stash. I just got these not long ago, actually, when I was making this video. These are the Willow Lane puffy stickers. The little hearts were just, and the stars were just super cute, so I wanted to include those on the layout. I thought the stars just obviously matched with the mood and feel of this layout, being galaxy and nighttime. So I popped those on, and now I'm just cutting up some blue bling. These are not obviously traditional bling for scrapbooking, so they're all joined together on a big string. So I have to separate the little glue strips to put those down on the page. And I just scatter those amongst the clusters and then all the way around the Z circle. And then once that's done, I clear off my desk and then I pull out my old typewriter. So this is a typewriter I picked up secondhand that I just love. I'm so glad that I have purchased this little gorgeous machine for my journaling. I just find I always hated my own handwriting, so I love being able to do my journaling right now and on the spot. I don't have a printer at home, so this was the perfect way to get journaling onto my layouts at the time of making them, so I'm not having to go back and add the journaling, because I just know I never would, and not leaving the journaling off, because that's what I did with my last albums. I just didn't journal my 12 by 12s at all, which was okay because I did have journaling in the PL pages that accompany, but I think it tells the story better to be able to have the journaling on the page. So I'm just typing away at that now, and then when that's finished, I also just stamp on a little date stamp as well, with the date and year and month and all of that, like, so the full date of when these photographs were taken. So I'm just going to stick that straight onto my photo. So again, it's all around the same area, so the arrow is now pointing still at my photos but also at my journaling as well. And that's it. So I'm really happy with how this one turned out. I love the mixed media background that I created. I hope you enjoyed watching this process. Hope the video wasn't too long for you. You can see all the little clusters I made there. You can see a better effect of how the water has absorbed into the paper. It worked really, really well. So don't let not having gesso hold you back from just getting in there and having a go. And you saw how messy it looked to start with, and it still turned out okay. So I hope you like, please subscribe, please leave me a comment. I love talking to you, and I'll see you next time.